Herbivore Beauty. Welcome back to my channel. It is the last day of my 30-day yoga challenge and I am super excited to share with you guys all of my results. I'm not exactly sure yet how the format of this video is going to be because I do have like a bunch of footage from before when I just started my journey and now, and I really just wanted to talk with you guys about my experience with it all. If you are tuning in for the first time, make sure you hit that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up if you end up enjoying this video. And also I do have my first video where I introduce my yoga challenge, and so I want you guys to go check that out first before you check out this one, just because it explains everything that I intended to do this month and everything that I wanted out of this journey. So to get into my experience, I did just mention about how I wanted to show you guys basically my physical changes, like with my flexibility and all that fun stuff. And honestly though, I was focusing mainly on my mental state throughout the 30 days of this yoga challenge. So I was writing in my journal every single day. I was just trying to go deeper into who I was and see like the changes that I can make, especially through like being more mindful and my mind's clarity and all that fun stuff. So what I've learned this past month is honestly that, or like what I feel is I've just become the most authentic version of myself that I've ever been. And it's really cool to see because I realized that I've been speaking up more for myself. I've been telling my truth, and I don't feel bad about the way that I feel anymore. Like when I need to express my emotions healthily, like I make sure that I'm responding to the situation versus reacting. So I've been able to find a healthier way for me to express my anger or like being upset, or just telling my close friends and family like really how I feel. And I noticed that a lot because I've been changing my path lately where I want to go, and I found myself in a situation where I was super committed into basically my next few years with my career and different changes I wanted to make, and I realized that what I wanted to do just wasn't for me anymore, and so I had to find the strength within me to communicate that. And I was able to finally do that this month because I just feel like I've been lying to myself and I haven't been honest with what I truly want and need to be doing. And so I just felt like a huge weight lifted off my shoulders because I was finally able to come to terms with myself and be able to express that this isn't what I want to do, so I need to be true to that and follow like my true purpose. And so after going through all of that stuff, other things that I've noticed with myself, especially during yoga classes, one thing that I used to do a lot was just like compare myself to every single person in that room, because I am like a really big competitor. I did sports like all throughout high school, and I was really into like volleyball, so I loved competition. And yoga is not about competition whatsoever. It is like the furthest thing from that. It's more about unifying yourself with your body and your mind and your spirit, and I sort of felt like I was treating it as more of an exercise and less of like a lifestyle, if that makes sense. And so I would always be comparing myself to the other yogis in the room and the other people who were practicing yoga. And then I started to realize that it wasn't about anybody else except for me, and I started focusing on my journey more, and I'd get excited and be happy when I was able to like get through an entire practice and only focus on my own practice, not what anybody else is doing around me. And I saw that I was making a whole bunch of I was doing like deeper poses and being able to like focus better the more I started focusing on myself and during the practice and not worrying about what anybody else in the room was doing. And so with that, I feel as though I've never felt more connected or grounded more than I did when I really focused on myself and my own practice. And it's really easy to do that at home, but when you're around other people, it's always just weird to see and interesting to see where your mind goes and like how different your perspective is when that happens. And what I've realized is that when you stop competing with other people, especially when it comes to yoga, you start looking at yourself in a different way. You start shifting your perspective and going more inwards, if that makes sense. And what I've noticed is that like I've completely changed the way I think about myself and what I just the thoughts that run through my mind, like I've been able to shift that to more like positive affirmations. So when I'm finally able to like achieve a really awesome pose that I've been working on, like my positive affirmations have just been so different. Instead of being like, okay, like I got this, like I can do more, like I've just been accepting where I am now and accepting my growth and being happy about that, instead of focusing on what I need to do next, if I explain that properly. And as most of you guys already know, if you already watch me, I have taken a bit of a step back from social media, just because I have just been learning a ton, and what I've realized is that social media is what you make it. It can be a super positive and amazing thing, or a really like negative thing that you just don't want to get yourself wrapped or intertwined with. And what I've started to do is just be really conscious of what I put out and who I follow, because there's just so many awful things that people can post, and just really awful energies that go around on social media that I just don't want to soak up myself. And I found that the past like couple of months before my challenge, I was just all caught up in it, and I would just react really negatively. Well, not even negatively, I would try to react as positive as I can, but I realized that I don't need to respond to every single person who sends me something negative. As most of y'all know, on Twitter especially, like I'm a pretty big like vegan activist. I'll always be like talking about injustices that happen towards animal cruelty, and even I talk a lot about human rights and all of that stuff intertwined. And it doesn't matter how positive I am when I spread my message, there's always going to be people who respond negatively to it, and I can either choose to react and like just try to like reason with the person and understand why they're being so negative, or I can just block them. And I realized that I don't need to give any of my energy to people who aren't giving me anything positive back. So I've focused on more of like the positive energy exchanges that I could get, and only interacting with people who I can see, or who I can give a positive exchange and who can also like return that. And so I've seen such a huge change with that. I have been active less and less, but only putting in things that I know I will get back positive things. One quick thing that I can't believe I almost forgot to mention, I am like the biggest daydreamer ever. Like I'm always in my head. I overthink things a lot, and like I get a lot of anxiety, but I do like daydream a lot, like even in positive ways. But like I've been able to just like sit down in the sun and just not even think about anything, just be present. And that's something that I've worked really hard on trying to get to, and this month I've been focusing on a lot, mostly because the weather's really nice and I can actually sit down and be in nature and not like worry about the freezing cold or worry about anything else. Just sit there and be, and sit there and eat my fruit or my breakfast or whatever I'm having. And that's something that's definitely changed a lot, and I can see the difference so much, because my mind is always everywhere else but where it's supposed to be. So a huge change, and if you guys have noticed that change too, let me know down below. And finally, to sort of wrap up my changes that I've noticed, I've been eating a whole lot better, with an exception of this past weekend, because I did go to Toronto to visit my friend, as you guys saw in my last vlog. If you didn't, make sure you go and check that out. But what I've noticed is that my body craves healthier foods, especially when I'm doing stuff that like benefits my mind. It like craves foods that are gonna help my mind expand, if that makes sense. So I've been realizing that I've been eating a lot more fruits and craving a lot more fruits and vegetables, and just raw things and hydration and just good things for my body. So that is mostly it for my experiences. I don't know what order this video is going to be in, and how or when you guys are going to see my different yoga changes, or if I'm going to have them playing up during the video. But I want to ask you guys one question, and that is, how did your yoga challenge go? Leave me a comment down below. I'd really love to hear the rest of your guys' experiences, what you thought, like what your changes have been with your like flexibility, with your mind, whatever it is. One thing that I definitely noticed with my flexibility, especially with my back, is that like it's crazy how far consistency will get you, because there are positions that I was doing that I would never have thought that I could achieve in such a short period of time. And even like though I haven't like achieved the splits yet, like I still feel like I've gotten so much more flexible. And it's like a really cool experience to see, like even going down to touch my toes, like I go down so much further than I expect to, and like as soon as my hands are already at the floor, I'm like, oh, like that's it. I feel like I put in no effort to it and it's already there. So definitely a lot of physical changes and a lot of mental changes and spiritual changes, and I'm able to connect with myself even more. And I hope you guys have been experiencing really awesome changes for yourself too. And even if it just wasn't like as dramatic as you thought it would be, just little changes, it's really awesome to see how much just like 10 minutes a day of yoga or 10 minutes a day of meditation, how much it can really benefit you. So I'd love to hear your guys' changes. Make sure you leave me a comment down below and check me out on Instagram, Twitter, my website. I still need to update my website more. I've been not updating it as much as I used to, but check it all out and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!